being in the room with other women that are going through the same thing and can share their experiences, and just being able to vent sometimes is super powerful. All right. So if you're interested, go get on the wait list for the next cohort of the Inner Circle, which could be opening in, again, April, March. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Female Empowered. I am your host once again, Krista Gurka. I'm so glad to be here with you again. I love recording my podcast, even though I will admit most of the time I sit around staring at my computer and procrastinating, looking at TikTok, which I'm down this new rabbit hole of TikTok again. Anyone else down the TikTok rabbit hole? But let me not digress. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that has come up a lot in our Beyond the Movement program. So for those of you that don't know, I am the founder and CEO of a Pilates and cash-based physical therapy practice in Miami, Florida, as well as the founder and CEO and lead coach mentor in the Beyond the Movement mentorship programs. So I call it Beyond the Movement because all of us are movement professionals. And what we do in these programs is we go beyond the movement to be able to start, grow, scale, systematize sustainable businesses in this industry. So what we're going to talk about today, because this came up in a lot of our calls over the last couple of weeks, is moving from clinician or client-facing side to C-suite, which is basically like executive, leadership, managerial, CEO roles, and how you can do that, not in a day, but in a year, because these changes, these adjustments, these shifts take time. All right, they take time. And if you don't give yourself the time, the emotional, the physical, energetic bandwidth to make that happen, you will start to consider yourself a failure, number one. And two, you're going to drive everyone around you crazy. So give yourself a year, give yourself 2 years. I think it took me 2 to 3 years. Even I was CEO for the whole time, but I wasn't acting as a CEO. I wasn't thinking as a CEO. And I know that many of you that listen to this podcast probably don't even consider yourself CEOs. I did a poll on Instagram. Gosh, it was I don't know, maybe last year or something. And I just did a poll and I said, which title resonates more with you? Business owner, CEO, entrepreneur. And the winner was business owner. Second was entrepreneur, and third was CEO. I think like maybe one person picked CEO. So most of us don't even resonate with that title. We think of CEOs as, I'll be honest, if I say CEO, the first thing that comes to my head is a man in a suit in a big office with a lot of glass. But I'm a CEO. So if you own a business, you are a CEO, whether you give yourself that title or not. But today, what we're going to talk about is how we move from clinician, from instructor, from providing the service, a technician, onto the other side of the business, which is executive leadership roles. And it's not an easy task. Okay. So transforming yourself from clinician, from client care to leader, AKA CEO, is basically what we're going to chat about today. We're going to talk about why that's difficult, and I'm going to talk about why and what we can all do about it, and the process we can put in place to make that happen. This transformation, I will be honest, is not as simple and straightforward as most people believe, even those that are going through it. Okay. At least it was not for me when I really, really dug into why I felt like I kept hitting my head against the wall. Okay. And I know it hasn't been easy for a lot of the women in our group because we talk about it a lot. Okay. We talk about it a lot. And in a lot of the other masterminds that I'm in, we speak about this as well. So there are essential things a few essential things that really must take place. They must happen in order to make the transition complete, successful, and as pain-free as possible for everyone involved. And remember, it's not just you that's involved, it's your team members that are involved, it's your family that's involved, it's your clients that are involved, it's your vendors that are involved. Everyone is involved in this process, or everyone is affected by this process in some way. Okay. One of the biggest things that has to happen, is it really requires a fundamental rethinking of every aspect of this client care continuum. All right. Which is a really radical shift and a radical change, redesign in how we as effective clinicians have worked for the most part of our career up until this time. Okay, so it's really, really important that we sit down and we truly understand what's going to be required of us to move from clinician to leader. Or even, for example, if you are moving one of your clinicians to leader, because this happens all the time in our industry. Usually it's our highest performing employee, our best instructor, our best PT, and then we say, hey, let's make you manager. And then we wonder, why is this not working out? They were so great at that role. I just assumed they would be good at this role. And that is, you know what they say about assumptions, right? You make an ass out of you and me. So it doesn't always work, but there are steps we can take to make that transition easier, to make the transition easier for us when we're going to make this transition, as well as for staff. Okay. So for so many of us, the skills that made us successful in our direct client roles or clinical roles or instructor roles have very little to do with what is needed to make you successful in an executive or leadership role. Okay. And in order to become better in those roles, we need a chance to build those new muscles, to do more reps. Like, you don't just drop in front of a barbell and just deadlift 300 pounds. No, you have to progress to that. You have to start using muscles that you maybe have not used before. In Pilates, people that have never done Pilates don't automatically jump on the reformer and be like, oh, I got teaser down perfect. Okay. It's new muscles for a lot of them, right? Even the best athletes that I have in the studio come in and they're like, oh, I can't believe I can't do that. It's because it's new muscular for them, new muscles for them, new muscular contractions for them, new motor planning, and all of that stuff, right? The focus for many of us as technicians, as effective clinicians, was to evaluate a person's movement, subjective history, mobility, and give a reliable kind of diagnosis, right? Understand why they were coming to see us, design a plan of care or a program design, a class, a private session, right? So basically we were gathering information, we're processing it, and we're making decisions that directly involve one person, or maybe 4 to 5 or 6 people if you're teaching a class. Okay. So there's a lot of emphasis on technical knowledge. Now, the best instructors, the best clinicians also have a really great rapport with people. Okay. But those people are generally coming to you because they do want to learn with you. They are voluntarily signing up for your class. They are putting themselves on your schedule. So that rapport has kind of already been built, which is very different than when you are leading people that are your direct reports. All right. So effective clinicians, when we are really, really good at working in direct client care, we understand that the success of our role, right, is to have the most amount of knowledge available, to be able to assess what we're trying to do and deliver that information in a clear, concise way. And most of us are really good at that. All right. Now, on the flip side, leadership is trying to entice the people that work for you to lead, to inspire, to motivate them, right? It's the art and science of creating coordinated movement amongst a team, a group of individuals that may or may not be voluntarily there together working cohesively. Okay. It involves engaging people, inspiring others around a vision that is designed to further your organization's mission. Which is, again, if we go back to why it's really important to have a mission, a vision, and values so that you can always drop back on those. Okay. Leaders must also anticipate holes in the processes. Okay. Anticipate the impact of what this decision is going to have on the future. Okay. Anticipate how we are going to get high performing teams and high performing individuals and high performing systems to work together in an integrated approach. That is much different. Those skill sets are much different than what is required of us to facilitate a group Pilates class or a one-on-one session or a physical therapy session. Okay, so really the difference is it requires much more collaboration, much more innovation, much more listening than talking. That's the other thing. When we're clinicians, most often we're the ones leading the session. Okay, we're the ones talking all the time. We're giving the explanation, but good leaders do much more listening than they do talking. And this was a really, really, really difficult thing for me because I'm a talker and I'm also uncomfortable in the silence. So I have a tendency to just talk over people. As a leader, we're trying to listen. And through listening, we're trying to lead through influence rather than power. So we're trying to lead through influence with rather than power over. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to improve your communication style. I see so many business owners. And by the way, by what I see so many business owners, I'm talking about myself because I did this for a long time to my team. I have very high expectations of myself. I was like a perfectionist. And if you listen to the episode a couple of weeks ago about why I ditched perfectionism, I really encourage you to go back and listen to it. I can't remember the episode number right now, but it was amazing. Actually, let me see if I can pull up the episode number right now. Let me see. It is episode 167, I think. So if you go back to episode 167, you can check out why I ditched perfectionism. Okay. But we have to truly listen to other people. Okay. We have to absorb information. We have to have difficult conversations. All right. We have to allow people the opportunity to express their insight. And so a lot of times what I used to do was be like, well, yeah, I work 80 hours a week. And so I expect that of other people. That is the wrong thought process to have as a leader if you want people to stick around. All right. So I see leaders all the time creating toxic cultures. They think they're creating really great cultures, but they have high turnover. Why? Because they're very demanding. And it's okay. There's a difference. I said this to my team. I had an admin meeting yesterday with my administrators. And I said, listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. And I have high expectations. I certainly do. I have very high expectations. However, I will also give you as much help, as much support, as much guidance as I possibly can, as long as you are in it as well. Okay, so if you come to me asking for help, I will be there for you, right? I will listen to you. And I will have high expectations that you will be a high performer as well. So I have both. And when I make a mistake, I own up to my mistake. It's okay for me to have high expectations of people. It's not okay for me as a leader to run people into the ground and be derogatory and defensive with them. There's a difference. I can have high expectations and be someone who my team is comfortable approaching. I can have high expectations and have boundaries. All right. So again, when we become, and really, this is where I also felt like my leadership skills, what's the word I'm trying to look for, improved a lot, was when I started to go to therapy myself, because I gained a lot of self-awareness. If you do not have self-awareness, and self-awareness is a tricky thing, because if you don't have self-awareness, you don't know that you don't have self-awareness, kind of that whole thing. This is what I talk about with my therapist all the time. But if you are not self-aware, it's really hard to be a good leader, because you don't really understand the stuff you're doing. There's a great book called Insight. I think the author is Tasha, I can't remember her last name, but it's called Insight. I love it. It's a great book. I've read it. I think I have it over there in my bookcase, but Insight, it's a great book on self-awareness. All right. But check yourself, leaders and owners and CEOs. Behavioral change, okay, is most likely to occur when you are doing it over and over and over. It's also most likely to occur when you are learning from someone who has been there and done that. Get the support, get the encouragement of a coach or a mentor who can provide you the objective feedback and constructive challenges, the constructive feedback when you need it most. And as long as you're self-aware, you can take that feedback, you can take that insight, and then use it to make yourself a better leader. Good leaders create other leaders. Now, how do you make this happen in real life? You make it happen slow and steady. All right. Ask for feedback. Start working on your own self-awareness. Start recognizing that you are not your business and your business is not you. So if somebody leaves, if somebody chooses not to work 50 hours a week or not to come to that team event, it is not a direct reflection that they're not happy with you as an individual. Nobody will treat this business like you do as an owner. So stop expecting you from other people. It just won't happen. Okay. That doesn't mean that people can't be bought into your vision, but it's your business. It's your baby. Okay. It's the same way that, like, I don't think anyone would care about my dog Duncan as much as I do. Right. He's my baby. The same way, like, I'm sure my husband and I care about our kids, and I know that my mother cares about our kids, but it's a different feeling. Nobody will care about your own family members the same way that you do. The same way no one's going to care about your business the same way that you do. So stop expecting yourself and your staff and your team. And when you do move into leadership roles, be clear with your expectations, very clear. And be clear about the expectations that you have for yourself. So how we make this happen in a year is slow and steady. Okay. Recognize when you do not have all of the answers. Be vulnerable, which is really hard for me. I understand. I would rather, there was a time being when I would rather stab myself in the face with a fork than talk about emotions. And the other thing about emotions is that everyone is responsible for their own emotional feelings. Okay. If I have to bring someone's attention to something, like they come late to work and they're upset by that, they are responsible for their own emotional reactions. I am responsible for delivering that communication in a clear, concise, tactful way, non-threatening, but they are responsible for their own emotional reactions. You are not responsible for that. And so if you remove that barrier, remove that expectation that you want to say something in a way that's not going to hurt someone else's feelings, that's a lot of burden to carry. The way that I look at it now is I'm going to deliver this information in a clear, concise way and allow it to be open for dialogue should that person choose so. But if they are upset, that is something that they're dealing with. That's their own emotional reaction. That is not a reflection of something that I have to deal with. So when I started realizing that I do not have to be responsible for other people's emotional feelings, that people pleaser in me really started to kind of like, I don't want to say disappear, because I still think about other people, but it has been much easier for me to have the difficult conversations. Now, one other thing that I will say that has been really life-changing for me is being involved in groups of other people that lead teams. So in my masterminds, there are other people that are sitting in roles that have direct reports to them. Okay. As CEO, it's good for me to be in other groups with other CEOs, so that, because there's no one above me. And I truly, truly believe that we don't talk about our team members to other team members. So I do not talk about team members, talk about my frustrations with other people on my team. I talk about these with people in my mastermind groups, with other CEOs. And this is a lot of what we talk about, and especially in our inner circle group with these 10, 11 women that we have in the inner circle group right now that are leading teams, and the difficult conversations they must have with people. Even if it's a virtual assistant, even if it's, a part-time admin person, if it's a part-time physical therapist, if it's a part-time Pilates instructor, having the skill set to speak to people in a professional and clear way is very powerful. And it is a skill set that we must learn. Just like any other skill set, it's using new muscles. It's having repetitions. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And so one of the things I would do is, if you want to learn how to level up into a leader, is consider joining a group. Okay. At the time that this episode airs, Inner Circle enrollment is closed until March or April or May, depending on how much space we have available and if someone drops out. But I would advise, if you are a female business owner in boutique fitness, healthcare, and wellness, and you have a team, even of one or two people, even one or two part-time people, and you're having challenging times leveling up into a CEO and into a leader, get on the wait list for our Inner Circle. It is a fabulous group where we talk about these things. And sometimes just talking about it, being in the room with other women that are going through the same thing and can share their experiences, and just being able to vent sometimes, is super powerful. All right. So if you're interested, go get on the wait list for the next cohort of the Inner Circle, which could be opening in, again, March, April, or May of 2023. So go visit www.kristagurka.com/mentorship, or scroll down to where you're listening to the podcast, open your show notes and click on it there. Get yourself on the wait list. For the last enrollment period, which was in January, we filled 90% of the spots with people that were on the wait list, with the women that were on the wait list. We only had one spot available to open up to the public. So if you're even thinking that you want to be part of this group where we talk about these difficult decisions, where we talk about how you speak to someone about their performance or behavior at work, okay, join the group, get on the wait list. It's a fabulous group, and it really, really will help you not only feel better about the conversation, prepare yourself to get yourself into the role of CEO. Okay. Now, CEO does not mean power over. So if that's what you think CEO means, it does not mean that. It's influence with. Okay. Walk alongside. Design your own leadership style. And I would love to be a part of how you bring that to life in your business. All right. So once again, scroll down, check out the show notes, click on the link, or visit www.kristagurka.com/mentorship and get on the wait list now. All right. All right, ladies, that's all I got for you for today. But understand, we all have difficult decisions. Being a business owner is tough. If it were easy, everyone would do it. That's why not everyone does it. And that's why not everyone is successful at it. All right. But I would love to, I feel like I've kind of forged a path in which I've I'm happy, not to say that I don't have fires to put out, but I feel like I'm in a really, really good place in my business with my team, and I'd love to share that with you. So keep listening to the podcast. Go check out my website. Engage with me over on Instagram at Krista Gurka. And until next time, ladies, bye for now.